On September 4th, 2025, Catherine, Duchess of Kent, passed away peacefully at Kensington Palace at the age of 92. The announcement came from Buckingham Palace, which shared the news with deep sorrow and described her as a woman remembered for her devotion to charitable organizations, her lifelong passion for music, and her empathy for young people. The statement confirmed that she was surrounded by her family at the time of her passing. Flags across royal residences were lowered to half-mast as a sign of respect, and tributes immediately began to flow in, both from within the royal family and from those whose lives she had touched. Catherine was the wife of Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, and together they had 3 children: George, Earl of St. Andrews, Lady Helen Taylor, and Lord Nicholas Windsor. She was also a grandmother and great-grandmother, with her family remembering her as both a public figure and a private source of love, support, and comfort. Her granddaughter, Lady Marina Windsor, was among the first to post her tribute. On social media, she referred to her as a mama, a deeply affectionate family name. Marina expressed her grief by sharing cherished photographs of the Duchess in her youth, including images from her 1961 wedding and candid snapshots of her later life. She wrote that her amazing and beloved Amama would be missed forever, and that she loved her more than words could say. In another heartfelt message, she thanked those who had sent kind words to the family, adding that she would always carry the laughter, friendship, hugs, and love she had received from her grandmother. The words captured the essence of a family relationship that, despite public status, was grounded in ordinary human love. Another particularly moving tribute came from India Hicks, who was the Duchess's goddaughter. India described her godmother as thoughtful, graceful, and deeply involved. She shared an anecdote from 1979 when her grandfather's funeral happened to fall on her 11th birthday. Even in such a moment of grief, the Duchess had remembered her goddaughter's special day and gave her a gold cross engraved with the date, a small but profound act of kindness that left a lifelong impression. India recalled that her godmother had never forgotten a birthday or Christmas, and that she often sent handwritten letters in her distinctive script while India was away at boarding school. She explained that the Duchess was present at her christening, confirmation, and even her daughter's christening, showing the consistency of her care across generations. For India, her godmother's life of faith and empathy shaped her own perspective and became a living example of how royalty could remain personal, thoughtful, and engaged. Beyond the family circle, official messages of condolence were issued. King Charles and Queen Camilla expressed their sadness at her passing and offered their support to the Duke of Kent and his family. The Prince and Princess of Wales also released a statement signed W&C, which mentioned George, Helen, and Nicholas by name, extending sympathy to her children as they mourned the loss of their mother. These messages reflected not only her place in the royal family tree, but also the respect she had earned over decades of service and personal humility. Catherine Lucy Mary Worsley was born in Yorkshire in 1933, the only daughter of Sir William Worsley and Lady Joyce Worsley. From an early age, she developed a love of music, playing the piano, organ, and violin. That passion shaped much of her later life. In June 1961, she married Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, at York Minster, in a wedding that attracted national attention. Through her marriage, she assumed the title of Duchess of Kent and began the formal duties expected of a member of the royal family. Over the years, she took on various public roles, attending official events and supporting charities. She became particularly well known for her appearances at Wimbledon, where for decades she presented trophies to the winners. One moment that remained famous was in 1993, when she comforted the tennis player Jana Novotná, who broke down in tears after losing the final. That small gesture of compassion on the world stage came to symbolize her natural instinct to comfort and to connect with others, regardless of setting. As much as she valued public service, Catherine increasingly made choices that reflected her personal convictions. In 1994, she converted to Roman Catholicism, a decision that was both rare and significant within the context of the royal family. At the time, it was unusual for a senior royal to take that step, yet she did so quietly and firmly, showing the strength of her faith. That same personal faith later shaped her funeral wishes. She requested a Catholic Requiem Mass, which will be held at Westminster Cathedral on September 16, 2025. This will be the first Catholic funeral for a British royal in modern history. It will be private and family-focused, with her coffin having rested beforehand in the private chapel at Kensington Palace, followed by Vespers the evening before. After the Mass, she will be buried at the Royal Burial Ground at Frogmore, where generations of royals rest. In 1996, she stepped back from regular royal duties. Rather than live fully in the public spotlight, she chose instead to teach music in state schools. For her, the chance to inspire children through music was more meaningful than continuing in the front row of ceremonial life. In 2004, she co-founded the charity Future Talent, which supports gifted young musicians from disadvantaged backgrounds. Through this work, she extended her lifelong passion for music into a practical legacy that continues to provide opportunities for children who might not otherwise have access to training or performance. By the time she withdrew from public duties, she was already recognized as a royal who valued substance over status, and her quiet teaching career further cemented that impression. Her personal life was marked not only by public service, but also by hardship. She experienced the stillbirth of a child, as well as health issues that occasionally required her to step away from the demands of royal duties. These private struggles, while painful, shaped her empathy and gave her a special ability to relate to others who faced loss or difficulty. The dignity with which she carried these personal sorrows made her words of comfort and her public gestures even more meaningful. The days following her death were filled with tributes not only from her immediate family, but also from those who worked with her in the charitable and musical worlds. She was remembered as a woman who carried her title with humility, who used her position not to seek the spotlight, but to create opportunities for others. While her royal title connected her to history and tradition, it was her personal qualities, kindness, consistency, faith, and service that defined her in the eyes of those who knew her best. As the oldest surviving member of the royal family after the death of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022, Catherine represented continuity. Yet she was never simply a figure of tradition. She combined a respect for the role she inherited with the courage to shape it according to her values. Whether through her conversion, her teaching career, or her charitable work, she quietly but steadily changed the way a royal life could be lived. Now, with her passing, what remains is both grief and gratitude. Her children and grandchildren remember her as a source of laughter, warmth, and affection. Her godchildren remember her thoughtfulness, from remembered birthdays to supportive presence at life milestones. Charities remember her as a patron who cared deeply about opening doors for young people. The public remembers her compassion, her faith, and her humanity. The farewell that her family now gives her carries the intimacy of personal love and the formality of royal tradition. It is not only the end of a life of 92 years, but also the closing of a chapter that spanned decades of change within the monarchy. Yet even in her departure, her example continues. She demonstrated that even with a royal title, what matters most is kindness, service, and integrity. As we reflect on her life, the phrase "farewell, Mama" captures the essence of the tributes. To her family, she was a mama, the beloved grandmother. To her godchildren, she was a second mother figure, deeply involved and always thoughtful. To the wider public, she was the Duchess who chose teaching over ceremony, faith over tradition, and compassion over formality. These overlapping roles define her legacy, Her funeral will bring together family, faith leaders, and close friends, marking the first royal Catholic funeral of the modern era. Yet beyond the history books, what matters most are the personal stories. Letters written in her delicate handwriting, a gold cross gifted on a difficult birthday, a comforting arm placed around a grieving athlete, a school music class where a royal quietly encouraged children to find their voice. Catherine, Duchess of Kent, lived a life that balanced duty and humanity, faith and service, tradition and change. As she is laid to rest, she leaves behind not only her family, but also an enduring example of what it means to live with humility and compassion. For those who called her Mama or a Mama, for those who knew her as godmother, teacher, or patron, her memory will remain vivid. She will be remembered not for the grandeur of her title, but for the grace of her actions. Farewell, Mama. You are loved, you are missed, and you are remembered always with gratitude.